Thank you for joining us again on the Talking with Robert podcast. And my special guest today is a man of many accomplishments. He served 23 years in the military, specifically the Army, and retired as a first sergeant. He now owns multiple businesses and is a premier boxing coach who is leading a new boxing team, the Dallas Enforcers for Team Combat League. Without further ado, my coach, mentor, and best friend, Coach A.C. Bryant III. How you doing today?
Hey, what's up, Robert Root? How you doing, brother?
I can't complain.
Man, it's an absolute pleasure. First of all, to be one of the earliest guests. I'm sure to be one of the biggest podcasts in the world. Hopefully, this grows down in history. Thank you very much for this opportunity, and thank you very much for pursuing your goals in your life. Just doing all the shit you want to do.
You know what I'm saying? You gotta take the life by the horns.
Can I cuss?
Yes, you can.
Okay, then. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, then.
So to start off,
man, this is really cool, Robert. This is really cool. We're sitting here in your studio. You're going through all your stuff, and I can't remember. This is about 2 years ago we met. About 2.5 years.
About 2.5 years. Yeah.
It was 2.5 or 2. Soon to be 2.
Soon to be 2.
Yeah. So I remember meeting you. Well, really, I met you 2 years ago, more than 2 years ago, because originally I met you as a Starbucks barista.
Yeah.
So that was cool, man.
Yeah,
now here we are, bro. So let's make this cool. I'm happy, man.
Let's make this happen. Okay, start off. What got you into boxing?
Well, I've always loved combat. I love martial arts. I'm gonna call boxing martial arts because essentially that's what it is. It is an art of war, and so I've always loved that stuff. Ever since I was young, my mom reminded me that even when I was a little kid, I used to draw karate people, and I was like, "That's me," and I'm doing this, and I had the little claws on the feet on my. I can still remember this picture that I drew, and I've always looked into it. I went to any and every chance I could to get into like karate. I was in daycare karate. Had the little Mr. Miyagi.
They have daycare karate.
It was. I still remember Makata. I never forget it. Yeah, Makata. Yeah. So there was that, and then essentially what got me into boxing was it was my senior in high school. I had just got through with track season. So this is a little bit towards the end of the year. And I'm getting up from the table, my lunch table, and I'm walking to put my tray away. And I overheard a dude say, "Hey, are we going to boxing practice tonight?" And I stopped. I turned around with my dirty tray, and I walked up to this dude who had no idea who the hell I was. And I was like, "Hey, did I hear you say something about boxing gym?" And he looked at me and he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "I would love to. I always wanted to box. Can I come with y'all?" He was like, "Yeah, sure. Who the fuck are who are you?"
Right.
And I was like, "Yeah, blah blah blah." So that was the journey. So I put my tray down. I never believe anything is by accident. To understand that where I'm at in my life right now all started from a lunch conversation in 1999. That's when it started, and. I met up him. I went up to, I'm from Sugar Land, Texas, so we went to school out there. So went out to this guy's house in this little neighborhood called Four Corners, and practiced a little bit with him. He introduced me to his coach. I practiced with his coach for 2 weeks. That was it. And then I went off to the Army. And so I started my journey in boxing then. Yeah, but overall, it's always been something I've been, so not only boxing, but I started jiu-jitsu in 2006. I've been to Thailand to learn kickboxing. I participated in the military's version of MMA, which is combatives at the All Army Combatives tournament, and I was a striker. Yeah, so it's been a continuous journey. Yeah, it's one thing after the other.
So in the Army, did you continue the boxing?
Yeah, so I ended up having about 8 fights in the Army. Yeah, 8 fights in the Army. amateur fights, obviously amateur fights, but this is this is like 2001 versus through 2000 and maybe like 6 or something like that. So 8 fights through there, and then 1 fight in the States, in America, in Texas, about 2003.
Ooh.
Yeah, so never for the all army team, just for like the unit team or whatever city I was in. I practiced with them. Yeah.
Okay. So, in the army, you get out, why coaching?
So coaching is something. Coaching is something I picked up, and I picked up. So what happened? What happened with me was I was not. It came up as a necessity. So the first time I went to train with this dude for 2 weeks, when I was for the next.
So, where did we leave off?
How I got into coaching. So basically, essentially, coaching was like a necessity. It came out of necessity. So while I was in the army, it was very hard to even find coaching. There's no internet. There is internet, but it's not in the sense of like where we have Google and everybody. And on top of that, everybody didn't even put it in. And I'm in Germany at the time, so that stuff, they're a little bit behind on the internet when it comes to like being updated with stuff like that. So
I wouldn't expect Germany to be like behind.
Well, when I say behind, in that sense of that level, it's just different. It's just internet now it's caught up, but even then, there's certain places it's not as widely available to all people, and if it is, it's just not as cheap as it is in America. So. Okay. The infrastructure, maybe it took a little bit longer to support it because everybody was like, I don't need it, And as a matter of fact, most people didn't have it in about 2003 or 4 anyways. They didn't at that time. So I trained with that dude for 2 weeks, and I went to the army. For the next 2 years, I did those drills that he gave me only by myself. That was it. That's all I remember. Whatever he taught me for those 2 weeks, I remember that it was jab, 2, and some other shit. And so I practiced those myself for the next 2 years randomly by myself, until one day, ironically, I saw a flyer on a gym as I'm leaving the basketball court, and I see a flyer talking about boxing in this one place is about 45 minutes to an hour away. I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to do that. So
let's do it.
Yeah, so went there. I went there twice. So I went there. I just randomly went there. Didn't read the details because I didn't know what day was going to be there and what time. So I'll go to this gym. Find out gym's not there, but it will be there the next day. So I get back on the bus, travel back. I go back out there the next day, meet this guy. I forgot his name. He's a real cool guy, a black gentleman, CW3 at the time, but he was retired. Real good guy. And so he had a weird haircut, but he was a cool guy. And he had like this weird like square type of like haircut. It was unique for the time.
Oh, okay.
And so anyways, he trained me up, and there was another coach and gentleman in Kittigan that ended up training me up then as well. Had a fight under them, had my first fight under them. Went to Wichita Falls, and this is where I learned the majority of my coaching skills from. This one coach, I forgot his name, is outside of Wichita Falls, outside of Shepherd Air Force Base, and he was amazing. 100% of what I know is probably 10% of what he's forgotten. That's how good he was. And brother, when I say he had me doing stuff like, I was like, yo, I can't even remember how to teach that anymore because I don't, so I remember going through him and him just making me a whole different type of fight. I was a fighter. The other person was just, I could punch and I was swinging. No, the first me was a fighter. He made me a boxer. And so then I fast forward, I came back to Germany. I got stationed back in Germany, and I understood what right looked like. And then the next coach I had was the complete opposite. And I was like, this is weird. And I was like, yeah, but shouldn't we do this? Shouldn't we do this? And slowly, some of the fighters were like, da-da-da. I was like, hey, you want to do mitts? let's do mitts, but I do it this way.
Mm-hmm.
And people started liking it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just better. I just knew it was better. I did not like training with that guy. I refused to even fight under that guy. I trained with him a little bit, and then he tried to get me a fight with no sparring, and I was like, no, I'm good. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, no.
And then from that point on, once my kids got to around, my oldest son was about 4 or 5, and my youngest son was 3. That's when I started my coaching endeavors and refining with them. And I got to the point to where I was always trying to coach. And I was like, man, this is a good idea. Let me get my gloves, kids my gloves, and let me get them this equipment little by little.
They started coming together.
And then I started offering these youth training courses on post on Fort Sam Houston. And then I ended up being the striking coach for the San Antonio's All Army Combatives team. And then that was it. I was getting ready to fight an amateur MMA fight, and I needed a sparring partner. And so there was this guy, it was a mutual friend of mine. He was like, hey, I know this other kid he's boxer, but he needs some sparring as well. And I was like, yeah, okay, let's work together. So we're sparring, but while we're sparring, I'm talking to him. I said, hey, da-da-da-da-da. And he was like, hey, you want to be my coach? And I was like, no, I can't be your coach. I got an MMA fight. I'm doing that. And so on the way home, I'm driving home. I really feel that I'm not blessed, but I'm favored. And to me, that's maybe it means the same thing. But what I mean by that is like God's always talking to me and putting me in the right position. Maybe some things aren't as nice as they should be, but they're necessary. And so I'm driving home, and I remember him coming talking to me for real. He's like, hey, fool, this is what I want you to do. So, get ready to do it. That's what I want you to do. Why do you think I da-da-da-da? And I was like, oh, okay. So after leaving the sparring session, I drove home. Before I even went to sleep that night, I called him up. I was like, I canceled my MMA fight. And I was like, yeah, hey, bro, I'll see you Monday, Let's start picking it up. And from that point on, it's been
just took off.
It just took off. I started coaching then, and he was at the time at the tournament, he won the Golden Gloves tournaments for the heavyweights. He was the only fighter who won every round of every match he was in. He never lost a round that tournament. That was, I was like, wow. And then I started coaching my son when I got left shortly after, went to Hawaii, and that's when I coached my middle son, AC Bryant the 5th, Isaiah, that's what we call him. Coached him to 2 state champions and a local Silver Glove championship. So that was from that point on. It's been popping.
Been popping.
And I'm always learning. I know I'm not I think if there's an advantage, I'm in this Team Combat League, TCL, which everybody should check out. It's amazing. And the arrangement of coaches that are a part of this, their accomplishments are amazing, absolutely amazing. I mean, we got Coach Hunter from DC. We got Goose. There's just Coach Dewey Cooper. There's just a list. Coach Willie Hall. There's 8 amazing coaches. And just to understand, like, wow, what they have accomplished in their tenure of either being a fighter or also as a coach is something that I look up to. But I believe the advantage that I have compared to a lot of them is, one, I don't go in there thinking I know everything. I understand that I have to learn, and this is a learning process. And so I take a little bit from everybody. If I learn something new, I'm not quick to say no to something that's new that may work. So I think that's my advantage when it comes to coaching, is that I'm always learning and I'm always getting better. The coach I am today is not the coach I was last week. It's not the coach I was last year. It's not the coach I was when you first met me. I think I'm a way better coach. I don't think I know I'm a way better coach than I was when we first met. So, yeah.
Okay. So on your journey, like, what was the most impactful lesson that you learned from all of that?
What I've learned through life that I apply in boxing, that I apply in business, that I apply in everything as much as I do. The one significant thing is Learn when not to think outside the box. Everybody knows. Everybody looks at that dude who's like, oh, he can think outside the box. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but sometimes that's very hard. When you think outside the box, that means you're going against everything, right?
Right.
You have to be able to look at stuff and be like, yeah, I don't have to think outside the box for this. I can improve this. I can add something to it, but I don't have to recreate anything. I can just add on to what's here, and I can make it my own.
Use what you got.
Yeah.
Okay.
Picasso said, what's a Picasso statement? What is it? Great artists copy, or good artists copy, great artists steal, or something like that. Basically, everybody's influenced by something, and so the great ones are learned. They know how to take whatever it is and make it their own. So I don't know what that has to do with this, but
It is what it is.
It is what it is. What it's not is, motherfucker. Yeah, that's it. Learn how to think out the box. Like some things, my approach in boxing is very simplistic, and you can attest to it. I don't know how many times whatever it is, but if you look at my drills, they're very basic.
Very basic.
Very basic.
Hard but basic.
It is, and that's how I always want to master simplicity.
Right.
The great ones master simplicity, meaning it makes it look like anybody can do it.
Right.
That's when you're really good. It's like, oh, anybody can do that, and then you find out, oh shit, it's not. It's very hard. So that's what I want to be as a coach. Is I'm trying to get me and my fighters to master simplicity. Yeah.
All right. So, tell us more about Team Combat League. That seems interesting.
Oh man, Team Combat League is amazing. So, I believe everything happens for a reason, and I happened to be in Thailand when they approached me about this position, when they offered it to me, and offered to try out for it. Basically, interview for it, and then see if our, we aligned. Mm-hmm. with if everything was in line with my vision, my capabilities with what they were looking for. And so Team Combat League is basically just these people. They went to this boxing match and they saw how exciting it was, and they were like, man, this would be great. How can we make this better? Because we just can't keep reinventing boxing. It's like, this is a time to think outside the box. So this is a time. So they took what boxing has and they just was like, let me just do this part. Let me just add this thing to it. So it's just it's a combat league that allows anybody who does any type of form of combat, kickboxing, boxing, MMA, Thai kickboxing, any Krav Maga, if you're a street fighter, whatever it is. But it's in a boxing format. But anybody can try out, pros, amateurs, in any one of those disciplines. They try out. It's a team concept. There is 24 rounds. Each round is individually judged as a match. There are 6 weight classes with 3 people in each weight class. There's 2 halves. There's 12 rounds. That's the first half. There's a halftime. The second half is another 12 rounds. And in that 12 rounds, you have 18 fighters that you can slot and arrange and move to make sure that you can end up winning the competition. So fights matter differently. So instead of you filling somebody out, this breeds aggressiveness. Like, right. You have got to be super aggressive. You can't just win. If you just win, that's only 3 points. But if you win and knock somebody down, that's 4 points. But if you knock somebody out, it's worth 6 points. So essentially, you could be Team LA and I could be Team San Antonio, and they can end up, you're down by 4. Mm-hmm. So if you put in your last guy, you need 6 points. You got to be able to say, hey, you got to go for the knockout, brother, because if you only win, we still lose as a team. Right. So it
creates a very interesting dynamic,
and it makes coaching a little bit different now. So not in the traditional sense of just giving advice and coming up with strategies. You have to have possibly endless strategies on like how to score points, who to put against who who not to put against, how to use them. You got 3 people in each weight class, who is the best fit for this person. Then you put them in there. Oh, and if somebody gets knocked out, now they're gone for the season. So you got to get somebody else. And it's very taxing. And I think it's very interesting in a sense of like the type of coaching you have to be isn't traditional for boxing. No coach has 18 fighters that are only going to fight 1 round at a time, where you're the San Antonio team, I'm the LA team, or I'm the Dallas team, you're the San Antonio team. I pick this person against you. You have less than 1 minute to pick your next person. So that means everybody has to be ready the entire time. And there's a lot of things. There's a lot of cool things behind the scenes that people will catch on later on. But yeah, this is going to be amazing. It's not just boring boxing. It's
going to be action-packed.
It is super action-packed. It's super action-packed.
All right.
Yeah.
What are your different businesses that you own?
Oh, well, not only my fans only exclusive content that you can get. No, I'm just joking. I'm in the top 5% of
OnlyFans, huh?
Yeah. No, but
everybody look at these feet pics.
Yeah, loving these feet pics. Loving these feet pics. You like Hobbit feet? Here you go, brother. I got something for you. Here you go. Check this out. So what I own, obviously, I just want to put out Imperial Boxing Academy. That's my newest venture. No, it's not. It's not my newest one. Cuts with Class is my newest, but oddly enough, one of my oldest ideas. I've been talking about this for 9 years. And so, that's one thing I known is just continually going at it. I started in 1999 boxing. And just to believe that and I never stopped. I kept going. There are pauses, but I kept going. Just to think that I'm at this position now, it's crazy. And it looks like it was just a flash. Feels like
it went so fast.
25 years ago, it was just a blink. That's crazy. So, but in a sense, just keep going at it. Whatever you're doing, just keep going at it. My ventures are Cuts with Class. I partner up with my partner, Dathan Manley, and Arthur Linton, one of my old-time Army buddies I've known for over 20 years. We've got together, came up with Cuts with Class, and it's going to be one of the top A-list barbershops in San Antonio. And second one is Imperial Boxing Academy. It's a gym. I started during the pandemic. But matter of fact, both of these last 2 businesses I started during the pandemic. I didn't. Yeah, I was like, yeah, this is time to do it now.
It's time to do it now.
It's time to do it now. And so I opened that gym up, and that came after I was trying to open a gym on my own. I just didn't like the situation I was coaching it because I was a volunteer coach, and I just didn't like that. Not in the sense of like I wasn't being properly compensated. I just didn't like the fact that I spent too much time away from my kids, and I couldn't show them. I couldn't buy anything with the time I was getting away from him, so it didn't make any sense. So I ended up starting my own gym, and so Imperial Boxing Academy, and then my end all be all is Bryant Boxing, and that's so crazy because it really started in 2012, and it was more like a boxing club. Because my son, and except for his last fight, he fought under San Fernando, which was the only other gym I had coached at outside of Imperial Boxing Academy. But my son fought under the Bryant Boxing moniker for all of his life, Right. And it was a boxing team, and how I ended up starting it, Bryant Boxing was, which just to let you know, is Bryant Boxing is the largest Black-owned boxing boutique in the world. And the reason why I say that is because the level we're at, we're on a high-end market. It's like, there's nobody else that happens to
have this type of quality.
The quality, and it's been rated and used by the top people in combat sports, boxers, MMA, kickboxing. I've got world champions, and each one of them that's all used Bryant Boxing to either train or compete in. And it all started from me coming up with a little boxing league. Hey, what about this? Bryant Boxing. Sounds good. Let's do that. And it was around 2012 when I came up with it. And
Let's
so,
do it.
So my son boxed underneath there. And so what happened one day, somebody hit me up and asked me for some gear to donate. And I was like, I ain't got no gear to donate. This stuff is expensive. And I was like, maybe I got one pair of gloves I can give out. And the dude was he was like, yeah, that'll be good. You should give it. And then long story short, it was to help out some people in need, some kids in need in Hawaii that were living in some bad conditions at a shipyard. It was different. It was an eye-opening experience.
What? Tell me more about that.
So what happened was, the gentleman reached out to me. He was like, "Hey, my son is boxing at this time in Hawaii. 99% of his career we started in Hawaii. I love Hawaii." And so the dude reached out and he's like, "Hey, bro, you got any equipment we can donate to these kids in need who they need?" And I was kind of standoffish because I was like, man, my equipment, I don't have that much, and I was like, I use it for my son. This is just for him.
Right.
But I was like, yeah, we got some stuff I can give, and they were like, we'll take anything. And I was like, well, and then he was like, yeah, because these kids need it, and then he showed me where they were living at, and bro, it was like there's a ship, but it was like off the cut in the shipyard, in the ship channel or whatever. I don't know what it's called, but in the shipping area, they were just living in some brush, and they had like some made up tent type of shit, and they were boxing in this. Anyways, it did not look like it was America. It did not. I was like, this can't
like
be
a third world country.
Well, a developing country. It just didn't look. It didn't look right, and I was like, holy shit. And I was like, fuck, I got to do stuff. If I give you a pair of gloves, that's it. But what can I do? Right? And it was something I had been thinking about anyways, where I was like, man, there's no black-owned boxing apparel company that I had known, that if there was, I didn't see any. I knew that, it was over 70% of all combat athletes, or I don't know if that number's true, but I'm going to say it. 70% of all combat athletes are minority or black or descendants of black. And it was like, dude, there's nothing in there for us. So, I came up, I was like, it was just something I was thinking. And as soon as this came up, we merged it together. And what we were able to do was for every three pair of gloves that we make or that we sell, we give a pair away to fighters in need, wherever they're at. We've done outreach programs in Lagos, Nigeria, South Sudan. Where else? Obviously here in I've gave in Mexico, gear for kids in Mexico. Obviously Hawaii and every state I'm at. Other gyms across America have given out equipment. So right. Yeah, so that's how we came up with Bryant Boxing. I don't know if that answers it, but basically it was a void. It was a void for compassion. I think we're one of the only companies that does something, has a business model like that. I love you, Robert. And so anyways, yeah, it came up like that. It was a void. It was first we needed a black owned. I felt there had to be more black presence in there, not in the sense that just to buy me because I'm black. It's just to be like, hey, there should be an option, a high end black option, just in case. And we came up with the philanthropy too, because I like to help out people. So every 3 pair we sell, we give one out. So that's what it is. It came from my love of my people and the love for helping people. Right. That's how Bryant Boxing was born.
Hey man, look, if I was not a part of Bryant Boxing, I would not be doing this podcast. So yeah.
Really? Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you, Coach. I appreciate you.
Hey, no problem.
Yeah.
Well, how about the people in need? What? That's what you said. You in need, brother. You're in need, man.
You act like I'm in the ghetto.
Yeah. Have you seen your apartment? You are in the ghetto.
No.
I seen that garbage disposal place. That looked like the ghetto. And I was like, I should go over there and throw some more stuff.
Now he's talking shit. What is some advice that you would give to incoming boxers that like now getting into space?
Man, keep with it. Find a coach that's going to teach you. Listen, get your shit straight. Look, one of the weirdest feelings I get is when I meet a fighter that is just naturally good, just like wow. First thing I think of is like, fuck, they're not ready. Something's missing. They can't. This person can't be. It's a very taxing sport. You are on an island by yourself.
Find somebody else.
Huh?
Finding somebody else.
Fighting somebody else. It is a hard sport. So when you do boxing, first of all, every person should learn how to box. It is one of those as a whatever it is, but as a male, it's inherently important that you know how to defend yourself. Right. And most men believe that they can. That's the one thing they never train at. They were like, I would say 90% of the population has never had a fight. Yeah, never had a fight. And then if they have had a fight, it's been only when they're angry. So boxing that's one of the greatest gifts I've ever given my kids is for them to know how to fight, because they know how to handle themselves. And it gives you a level of confidence that you'll never get from any other sport, because no other sport tests how bad you can fight. It tests how high you can jump, how fast, how hard you hit the baseball, how rough and tough you are with tackling. But none of those are fighting. So everything you believe you can fight, boxing is the only sport that allows you to know, there's no I believe. It's either you can or you can't. So the only advice I can give fighters is work hard, train hard, stick with it. All you need to improve is 1%. And when things get down, understand that the best boxers in the world have all lost. There's no one who has a perfect record across the board, in amateurs and pros. And I believe some of the best amateurs in the world, some of the best pros in the world, Mayweather, Evander Holyfield, Roy Jones Jr. And the reason why I picked these three individuals, each three of these individuals all have very controversial losses in the Olympics, fighting for the gold. It was so obvious they won.
But they were cheated from their goals.
They were cheated from their goals. And if you look at every one of those careers, they are not just good fighters. They are absolutely boxing gods. And I believe the fact that one of their last fights in the amateurs, it was stolen from them. And so when they get an opportunity to just perform based off of, they're like, look, I'm never going to be outworked. I'm never, majority of them did really, really good, So just obviously Floyd Mayweather, he is one of the, probably one of the hardest working fighters that not that I personally know, but people in my circle know him and just explain, like, dude, this guy is all that other stuff, that TV stuff and other stuff, it doesn't even come close to doesn't hold a candle how dedicated he is to the sport. That's just him doing who he is. But he, in a sense, if he spends a few hours in the club, he will spend more training because he's just a super dedicated fighter. And you see that in his before fights, his 24 whatever it is. And he'll be running from the club. That's not for show. That's because that's really what he does. So he's a fucking amazing guy. So yeah, fighters, find some dude, find any person, any fighter, male or female. Katie Taylor is one of my favorite female fighters, and it's sad to say that she's one of my favorite fighters. Clarissa Shields is one of my favorite fighters. So not female fighters, one of one of my favorite periods. So any one of those, and if you look at their records, if you look at them. All of them have had a loss in either amateurs or Evander Holyfield and Roy obviously had losses in the pros. But even then, they still bounced back and did amazing things. So, yeah, just stick with it. It gets hard, just like everything else. Don't quit because you don't think you're good. You stick with it. I'm not the best coach. I'm not the best boxer. But I stuck with it long enough to allow me to get better. And so where you start is not where you end. So yeah.
Amen. And the second part to this question: what advice would you give to entrepreneurs?
Oh, same thing. Stick with that bullshit. Hey, so real talk. There are certain things you have to account for. So first, I'm glad I'm rephrasing. The question is, and this answer I'm gonna give can be used for both the entrepreneur and the boxing. And everything needs to be your fault. Everything needs to be your fault. If your business is successful, if it fails, it's your fault. If it does good, it's your fault. The reason why you need to take on those, if you're boxing and you do good, that's your fault. If you do bad, that's your fault. If you get hit, that ain't nobody else's fault but yours. You could have blocked it. You could have slipped it. If you can take on that responsibility, and it's a burden sometimes, and it's a hard pill to swallow because you want to blame it on people. But if you can be like, all of this is my fault, and you know what? I can correct it, because if it's your fault, you can correct you. If it's outside of you individually, even if it's your kids, your wife, your family, you can't correct them. You can't really make them do what you want to do, but you can always control yourself. So take on that, do research, prepare. Don't think that you're going to make money off the cuff. Be prepared not to make money, to lose money for a few years until things start getting rolling. Don't make it your end all be all. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you're financially sound. So when you do it out of passion and love, and possibly finances. Don't automatically be like, if I don't, I need this because I got this barbershop, I got 10 chairs. If I fill these chairs out, that means I make this. So I'm gonna start counting my money now. I should make $6,000. I'm gonna base all my expenses off of what I'm supposed to be making in.
Right.
No, don't do that.
That's a bad thing.
That's a bad thing, because when you have to start making decisions based off of, especially when it comes to being a business owner, based off of, if I can make money this month, I got to do this, you may end up making the wrong decisions, because now you're making hasty decisions instead of well-informed and thought-out decisions. So, take your time, enjoy the process, and you're going to learn, and never, if it's important to you, follow up. Find emails, call people. You follow up. Even if they're the person who says, yeah, I'm the end all be all. Okay, well, that's what they say. Then follow up with them. Send them emails. Make connections with people. Don't throw it out there and just be like, yeah, it's good enough. I'll leave it alone because that's what I'm supposed to do. You're just like, no, I need to find out who this going to. If you can, call up. Make connections, understanding that you got to put a face with the name with stuff, and then from there, just keep hacking shit away. Do everything you're supposed to do. Be a great customer service person. Have great products. That's it. What I try to bring as far as boxing or can you pause real quick? Hello. Hi. Yeah.
All right.
Because we want 30 minutes. So basically, just be an entrepreneur. Get your ducks lined up. Do some research. Don't just go out there and just open some stuff and be like this. Listen, I'm going to tell you right now, Nikola Tesla, by far, was way better than Thomas Edison. The inventor of not the inventor, the person who owns the patent to the light, the